Hey, jury family, can you guys hear me? Hey, jury family. You guys hear me? Jury family. Okay, guys, let me get the echo off. All right, and I got the echo off. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Guys, okay, so let's see if that's better. Jury family, I'm going to start all the way over from the top. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Can you guys hear me now? Can you hear me now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury? All right. Drop a one in the chat if you can hear me, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I'm starting from the top. From the top. Thank you, ladies and guys. I was over here. Y'all know I was over here flapping my chops. I miss y'all, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I miss you so much. Y'all know we have to get Mr. Sean Combs Diddy together, the former billionaire, because yesterday, before he cut the alleged $100 million check, he was a billionaire. But today, I guess he's a 900 millionaire. That's still rich in my eyes. That's still rich in my eyes, but we'll see if he can withstand everything that's coming. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I miss you guys so much. We have bringing to a close 2024 a lot. I miss you guys so much. I'm back in LA. I'm back stateside. I miss you guys so much. Caramel, Miss Sheila, Miss Fitness, Miss Black Diamond 7. I miss you guys so much. Leah, Jury Family, Sunrise, Spanish Harlem, Woman of God, French Wee Wee. Caramel, Miss Caramel, I've been seeing you in the chats and in the other chat rooms. I miss you, girls. I miss you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Thank you so much for your patience. We have to get into the criminal analysis that is the overlay on this civil lawsuit and the forthcoming lawsuits that Mr. Sean Combs will likely face. I miss you guys so much. Hey, Miss Apple Bloom. Y'all, so let's start this off with a little kiki. Sean Combs really thought that he was going to allegedly cut a $100 million check by way of settlement and not have others looking at him like, wait a minute, Sean. Everyone that he has victimized has their eyes on civil litigation against Sean Combs, and rightfully so. If he is cutting $100 million checks for reparations for surviving Diddy, everyone is likely gearing up to come after him in a massive class action lawsuit. He made the members of making the band, making the band walk from Manhattan to Brooklyn in New York freezing temperature, no compensation. He did it for clicks. He did it for the camera. The only people that got paid was him. And that seems to be his MO across the board. Mr. King of Crooked Contracts is finally having his roosters come home. Finally. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Let's get into the tea. So Sean Combs has basically terrorized, according to the lawsuit that Cassie Ventura filed, terrorized her over a decade of absolute abuse. He's engaged in several federal labor law violations. He used his positional authority as the CEO, the executive, and also one of her managers to coerce her into a romantic relationship. And in the lawsuit, Cassie spells out she wasn't really attracted to Diddy because he ain't cute at all. On a scale of 1 to 10, he's a negative 19. But he finagled and finessed, used his coins, or should we say the coins, ill-gotten gains from artists he didn't pay and stolen masters, to basically trick off and splurge and basically shut her off. He even gained access to her medical records. So that means he's paying off doctors, paying off hotel staff, not to turn over footage of cruel abuse. Boy, money can be the root of all evil. So, because Diddy knew he wasn't fine at all, wasn't a Tyson Beckham, he tricked off and forced Cassie into a romantic relationship, leveraging basically her career. Either you throw it in a circle or I'm tossing your album. And let's not even talk about the slavery of a 10-album deal. Never heard of it. Never heard of it. Over 10 years working in entertainment, seeing different contracts, never saw a 10-album deal. And I've saw some pretty salacious and unfair and one-sided deals that needed some major reconstruction. But 10 albums is absolutely unconscionable. In law, we have something called unconscionable. Means it's so extreme and so unfair and so unbalanced that the court can't even honor the contract. 10 albums is ridiculous. I mean, it takes you at least a full 2 years to make one album and go on tour. So basically 20 years, no, sir. No, sir. But what stands out to me is Mr. Diddy hired a criminal defense attorney. Now, why would Diddy, who had a civil lawsuit, hire a criminal defense attorney? And just like a criminal defense attorney, honey, he folded in 24 hours. Because in law, it's broken down into two big umbrellas. It's civil and it's criminal. Criminal, fighting over time. Civil, fighting or negotiating over money. Diddy is paying big bucks for a criminal defense attorney. Now, Diddy, if you're paying that much money for 24 hours, put me on the team. Now, I ain't going to be rooting for you, but put me on the team since you're cashing out coins while you got them. So, y'all, since the lawsuit broke, all of Diddy's tea has been falling out. All of his skeletons are bursting out the closet, finally. The way he treated Cassie was deplorable, but everyone's looking at the totality of the situation. I understand NYPD said they're not doing any investigation, as they shouldn't, because given the allegations within the body of the complaint, this is not for the jurisdiction of NYPD. It's beyond their bandwidth. They could stick to, navigating the NYC streets. But this would be in the realm of federal jurisdiction. Once you start crossing state lines and engaging in criminality, that gives rise to federal charges. And also when you engage in things like sex trafficking, that is a federal offense. And holding someone against their will across state lines, that's kidnapping. Assuming someone's medical records without their permission, that's a HIPAA violation. And it was a slew of people that participated in this. But please understand, Cassie is not the first victim. And this is deplorable. And now we have to think about what happened to Kim Porter, the members of Making the Band, people that he coerced allegedly, and I'm over here rolling my eyes, sexual favors from. Because Diddy ain't never been someone, he ain't fine. He ain't no looker. He ain't like the ladies throwing panties at him. He kind of got to, chase you like a old rock roller or something and throw his money around, get all aggressive. And then he has the nerves to ball up his little DL fist and be swinging and hitting on Cassie and allegedly Kim, breaking bones. But I bet he wouldn't square up to Mr. Saucy Santana, because Saucy probably will pop him in more than one way. So he's out here beating on women and hiding behind his money. But see, Diddy didn't realize a few months ago when he thought he was the king of the world, or should I say king of the world, he tried to file a lawsuit against Diego. Now let's get into Diego. Diego is the company that owns Ciroc. Diego is worth $80 billion. $80 billion. Diddy was worth $1 billion yesterday, but now he's down to 900 million after he had to cut the check for his reign of terror and absolute illegal, felonious abuse lodged against Cassie. So now Mr. Diddy has gotten caught with his panties in a twist yet again, because not all of the members signed the NDA. Not all the members of Danity came. So the question becomes, how many people did he have engaged in these nasty freak-offs? Cassie opened Pandora's box. And now people see that Diddy is shook and he doesn't want his freak-off skeletons flying out the closet. He's cut $100 million check. He constantly brags about his wealth. But should we say it is ill-gotten gains, the wealth of people that he never paid? And he recently went on this good guy tour, giving away masters that weren't really worth anything. He didn't allow people to have their masters during the prime, but when he absorbed all the money. This is called karma. And they say she's a bad bee. So now Diddy, Mr. Freak-Off himself, is going to have his freak-off skeletons flying out the closet. Now, there will probably be men who come forward if they engage in these coerced freak-offs. Because we see the other suit with the basketball player, what's his name? Dwight Howard. I guess he had his own little freak-off going on too. So Mr. Nasty Diddy was abusing Cassie, and he thought that she would never strike out. This woman has physical bruises, and also she was out the country. So again, we have activity in an international level. So Mr. Diddy is now down in Florida, Miami, Florida, staging fake photo shoots to demonstrate or try to appear that he's down bad for the optics. And the question is, with Young Miami, were those golden showers forced or by choice? How many ladies has he forced into these nasty, salacious, illegal, felonious relationships, including torture, abuse, threats of death, buying off people all around them? That is called coercive control in the state of California. So now he wants to act like he's all shook. But guys, I want to remind you, because I understand the NYPD said that they're not doing an investigation, which we didn't expect them to. They have their own stuff they're dealing with. But also, given the nature of the charges, this will be more appropriate for federal jurisdiction. And also, we have to remember just a few months ago, when Diddy got too big for his riches suing Diego, the owner of Ciroc, their contract ended. So that was $1 billion contract, and he gave back the worthless masters. Someone said he knows the mayor. Well, no comment on the mayor of New York. I'm trying to be politically correct on my first day back, guys. And I'm doing good, so I won't make any comments on that raggedy mayor of New York. Excuse me, the mayor of New York. So now with this, it becomes, and people talk about with Pac and Biggie and Kim Porter, but I want to tell you guys something about deletions, 187s. There is no statute of limitation for deletion. So if he is found to be involved in that, they will have to investigate and prosecute accordingly. Let's talk about what triggered this lawsuit. Diddy was doing what I call dog whistling. Diddy would post things like this when Cassie was in her marriage. In my opinion, this was his way of trying to remind her that I have vulnerable pictures of you. Why are you posting the bubble bath of somebody else's wife? This is evidence, in my opinion, of some type of emotional extortion going on to keep contact with Cassie and make her uncomfortable. So now that Diddy has to cut the check, the question is often, how long does someone have to turn over the money? So whenever you settle a lawsuit, let's talk about the settlement timeline. So they agree on the number. The next step is the settlement agreement, and that can be a little contentious or not, given the number. Now, based on the speculations of the ballpark, people are speculating possibly 100 million. Diddy's attorneys will likely request a global settlement under a general release. Now, what is a global settlement under a general release? That means global means all claims, everything. And then general release means you can't sue me ever again. So, with those terms, usually these are standard documents. And what we do is tailor and individualize them. But this will be a more complex settlement document. But 30 days to get the documents, go over the back and forth, because it's a chess game back and forth. The number during the settlement document, when they're talking about the terms, the number, whatever number they chose, it will not change. It's just the scope of privacy that Diddy, Cassie is willing to extend or accept. Now, in the settlement terms, there is the payment section, because that's the meat of it, right? Let's get to the T. When will Cassie and her husband get $100 million off Diddy and be living good off him? And then Danity Kane and all of the people thereafter. So after the 30 days, once they go back and forth on the terms, then there is the payment period. Now, it depends on how aggressive or cordial the attorneys are. Sometimes they say 7 days. Sometimes they say 30. Now, given this type of number, they probably would say 30 days because they have to decide how to make the payment. Because, guys, you have to remember, the standard bank account is only insured. When you go to the bank, you know that sign on the bank, it says FDIC insured up to $250,000. So if you balling and you got more than $250,000 in your account, get another account just to split it, because in case something happened, you don't want to be out your money. So they probably have to say it's going to be via wire transfer, certified funds, some type of paper check, how they're going to facilitate the money transfer. Because when you do this type of transfer, now let me do a disclaimer. Never did this level, not 100 million. But when you do a large transfer, that is going to set off tons and tons of alarm bells with the IRS, because there is a deposit threshold where the bank has to notify the IRS, because it could be money from laundering, trafficking, it could be anything. They just have to notify them. And the trigger usually is $10,000. So 100 million, yes, everybody at the IRS will know when this hits. So also with this money, it becomes the time for the check to clear, because it may be a check, partial, and a wire transfer. Wire transfer, 24 hours. But with a check, it could take up to 14 days to confirm the funds are available. Because please understand, the bank ain't gonna release 150 million, none of that, until they confirm all the way. Now, the thing for Diddy is, who's gonna cut the check? Because Cassie sued Diddy and Bad Boy. So does Bad Boy even have enough liquidity, and that's capital or money, De Niro, cheese, dough? Do they even have enough money to pay out this settlement? Now, Diddy, we know in his coffers, he got all Identity Kane, Mace, Biggie, all of their money. Busta, Mary J. Blige, all their coins in his personal. But does Bad Boy itself have the liquid assets to even pay this lawsuit? Because the lawsuit was against both Diddy and Bad Boy because he was her boss first before he forced himself onto her. So, is it normal for a case to settle in 24 hours? Hell to the no. No, 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 no. Is it normal for a case of this magnitude to settle for 24 hours? No. Tracy said, is there a thing such as insurance? Absolutely. Brilliant question. Brilliant question. Yes. Every time you guys, someone is suing someone, we say the company's name, but there's always insurance behind it. Now, was Diddy personally insured? Maybe, maybe not. Bad Boy as a company should be insured. But this is the caveat. The insurance does not cover bad faith activity. The insurance doesn't cover when you're operating outside of the course and scope of your employment. The insurance doesn't cover illegality. So these are behaviors that could forfeit your right to activate your insurance. Now, in a case like this, high-end people, they have Chubb, Chubb. That is the Gucci of insurance. That's what ambassadors get for ransom. Presidents get. A lot of people will probably never even heard of it, but that's like the Gucci of insurance. But Chubb is very they're like American Express. They're strict about who they insure. You have to have a standard of morality, a standard of baseline. They're not going to insure shenanigans. They're not going to insure degeneracy. And baby, I don't think they're going to insure the white nail polish ritual. I worked in insurance. I've never seen a policy that will cover such a ritual. And I work for the major 3 carriers in the United States of America. And I see someone put in the comments that Kid Cudi's dog was found dead. So now we have animal. Listen, you could get away with a lot of America, but you cannot get away with messing with the animals. And also, we're setting a precedent that you're not going to get away with beating on women, torturing women. The question becomes, is young Miami safe? Is she getting these golden showers by force, or is it by choice? Is she behaving this way on her own volition, or has he assumed control over her career? Because Diddy did give her I think she has a television show or talk show or something. I don't know what channel. I guess a Revolt. I don't know. I don't own the TV, so I don't know. But it's like, how is he getting these romantic relationships with these women? And it initially starts off in a business capacity. So it's like, if young Miami is over there willfully, she needs to run and get some sentence and burn that little cape she got. But if there is some type of coercion where her career and is he threatening her with videos and things like this because he's proven to be a dog ass bleep, because I'm being good. I'm back. It's my first day. So he puts these ladies on payroll. That's what Ty just said in the comments. So Diddy's way of coercing romantic relationships is thrusting these women into the spotlight, putting them on payroll. In Gina's case, she also talked about I think it was Tasha K Tasha K. She had the amazing interview with Gina years ago, but Gina memorialized the abuse she suffered at the hands of Mr. Freakoff and the things that he would do to abuse her. So he has the proclivities for throwing them hands, but I bet he won't throw them with Saucy Santana, but I bet he want to be in a Freakoff with Saucy Santana. And all of this is happening on the heels of the anniversary of Kim Porter's death. And I saw Storm Moreau talk about this, and I just shout out to Storm, Tisa. It's a lot of people doing great coverage on this. Shout out to all the content creators. So now, this is on the anniversary of Kim Porter's death because she passed away November 15th. So Diddy has to cut this check. And 6 months ago, he quietly or loudly lost his contract with Diego because they just said he was just basically not living up to his contractual demands. And Diddy, he waged a lawsuit saying that they were discriminatory and didn't promote his product enough or didn't put themselves behind the brand enough. So they're embattled in litigation. But Diddy, he's fighting a company that's worth $80 billion. And in any contract, this is so interesting. And I think we talked about this before previously, guys. I told you I had a client that I negotiated a deal with Diego. And I remember I speak very positive about the company, even though I don't drink. I still just the company was very congenial, very cordial, very diplomatic, very reasonable. But most contracts in business, when you're representing a company, has a clause that many people don't think about. It's just so standard, but it's thrown in there about the morality clause. And it gives most of them give a lot of latitude if you are a public person, but it does have a threshold to say, hey, you can't behave in a way that's just anti-moral, that would basically bring down the overall image of the company. So with Diego, even though they're embattled in litigation with this, Diego, this is on a house. Go to your morality clause, because I'm sure you got one with Diddy, but this conduct memorialized in Cassie's lawsuit would likely trigger a direct breach of the Ciroc contract. Like, sir, we expect you to be a big person, but you're not supposed to be a rapist, abuser, someone who may be a hitman for hire type scenario, all the isms that are alleged about him. So the Ciroc coins are gone. The masters have been returned. The first lawsuit was filed and settled in one day because he hired a criminal attorney. So now we have Danity Kane. And Aubrey is one of the ladies who did not sign the NDA to get her master's because she thought it wasn't a fair deal. It wasn't worth it for all the things that she would have to turn over. So we have that, but also we have the other members of Making the Band. I remember Freddie came out. Was it Freddie? Freddie was in tears, just saying the things that they endured. So only time will tell if Freddie and D Woods and all of the other young ladies will also. If the estate for Biggie, his family, his estate would come and request a further investigation into all the allegations around Diddy, because where there's smoke, there is fire. Or in the court of public opinion, we have to call the powers that be accountable and say, maybe criminality does not exist if you're rich in America. Because the last time I checked, the golden rule in law, guys, let me tell y'all, the golden rule in law, the first law that we learn philosophically is no one is above the law. That's the golden rule. But it appears the golden rule doesn't apply if you're a billionaire. How many times will Diddy be accused of basically engaging in one step away from taking someone off the face of this earth, if not doing it or facilitating it, and it not be thoroughly investigated? How does he get away with this type of behavior? Money. So I understand NYPD says they're not investigating, but where are the feds? Because sex trafficking is definitely a problem in our country. Why do hotel workers feel so comfortable ignoring abuse? How can someone come to your facility battered and bruised, Ike and Tina style, and no one says anything, all for the love of money? Has morality gone that far in this country? I understand the economy is tight, but we're at the point now where we're watching a alleged serial criminal engage in a reign of criminality and nothing gets done. Innocent people don't cut $30 million checks, and innocent people don't cut $100 million checks. And innocent people sure as hell don't fold in 24 hours. What Cassie laid out in that complaint was egregious and unfathomable. And what is worse is the thought that this could be happening over and over again. How many victims could there be? This happened in New York, California, Miami, Hawaii. She had pictures where she was all bruised up in Dubai. Kim Porter, who so many people have testified or just talked about, not testified, but talked about the abuse with Kim Porter and the suspicious nature of her death that wasn't thoroughly investigated. So Diddy with the fake ass, photo shoot down in Miami, pretending to be distressed because he's trying to get the public to stop dragging him, not understanding that this is just the beginning. This man has tortured for over 20 years the entire industry. You sold out your people, dude. You could have put so many people on, but what you did was you got greedy, Diddy. Ill-gotten gains never win. The wealth of the wicked will be stored up for the righteous. There is no coins for you. You will be wrung dry in the courts of law. Adjudication will break your pockets. You've lost your biggest contract. You lied to your people, selling them liquor and pretending like you owned it. You had people who looked like you and me believing that they were endorsing you. Everything about you is a fraud. You're not successful. You're a crook. You're an abuser. And none of the powers that be will say it. So it has to be up to us content creators to call it out. Because the Breakfast Club won't. E-News won't. ABC and all the news forecasters that turn on the little fake news voice, they won't call it out. I'm letting you know these are federal crimes. And all the people in his entourage are eligible for RICO charges. If you start covering up deletions, abuse, underage activity, aggravated assault, stumping women on their stomachs, taking babies out, sir, you're a maniac. You need to be behind bars. You need to be behind bars. You need to clear your checking account to everyone. So Bad Boys, Making the Band, Danny D. Kane, Mary J. Blige, all the people who haven't received their compensation are likely looking at Diddy right now, because the statute of limitations on the Survivor Act is ticking. It ends on November 23rd. And this is their one shot to come for these deep pockets and watch them fold. And don't forget, he has a team fighting Diego. This man is a narcissistic maniac. But he finally wrote a check that his ass couldn't cash. He throwing them sassy hands, beating on women, stealing from people from the top to the bottom, and he wants us to call him Brother Love. Stop deceiving yourself. That's Luciferianism to lie. Sorry, that's evil. There's no love there. So now he's $100 million short. And I see that Naomi Campbell, I heard on Tisa Tells, Naomi Campbell disavowed him on Instagram and deleted the birthday picture. No one wants to be associated with this maniac. But you know who needs to be associated with him? With him is because they like jewelry so much. He needs some platinum handcuffs, the ones that are real tight. Because this is despicable, absolutely deplorable and despicable, degenerate conduct. And while the lawsuit is great, Cassie deserves it and much more. He needs to be prepared to cut the check for everyone. And the biggest impact will be for them to do a class action lawsuit. So with Diddy, and guys, I was going in so hard I didn't even realize my background music was gone. So with Diddy, he paid off one lawsuit, facing others because now in litigation, Diddy is what we call deep pockets. Once you show your hand that you're willing to pay a lawsuit like that, you become an attractive defendant to people who may have once had fear because they see how quickly you will fold. And mostly, so many people probably have really, really good receipts on Diddy. So Mr. Diddy, the maniac, is possibly facing a RICO charge if the multiple states tap in and all the members across the East Coast and West where he's engaged in likely fraud. I would say they need to do a thorough analysis of every contract ever signed by him because he's demonstrated a lack of moral turpitude. He's demonstrated a lack of veracity. And in court, we call this just you have a credibility issue. And that triggers the analysis for them to look at these contracts to see if these other people were victims of the coercive control. These nasty freak offs with nasty Diddy feeling and gyrating and kissing on people, slurping down Ciroc, and forcing people into nasty compromising positions and giving them substances to ingest. Absolutely, absolutely, we are in the felonious territory. And the only thing that's saving his skin is his money and probably the fact that his attorney settled quickly because he got to deal with the criminal defense side of things. Why would Sean Combs hire a criminal defense attorney for a civil lawsuit? And people say, why sue? You know, a lot of people say, well, why sue? Is it a money grub? Well, civil lawsuits are about money. That's what it is. Because people who are wealthy, you have to hit them, and even everyday people, you have to hit them in the pockets. And why would someone choose to do a civil lawsuit versus a criminal? I'll tell you strategically why. Strategically why you would want to file your civil lawsuit first to recoup your funds. Because once you file the criminal lawsuit constitutionally, a criminal lawsuit takes precedent and it puts all other lawsuits on hold. Like your constitutional rights are more important than fighting over money. So you don't want to hold up getting paid for waiting for him to go, go to court. And then once he's in prison, now you got to wait on your money again. So strategically, it makes sense to file a civil lawsuit first to recoup the funds before that person is indicted, before they pay out all their money on criminal charges, and before they go to prison and their funds are frozen. So you want to recoup what you can, because the purpose of a civil lawsuit is recompense. Pain and suffering is something that you can't always see, but it is an actual injury. Not being able to sleep with memories, flashbacks of the white nail polish ritual with old nasty Diddy lurking in the dark with his bottle of lotion is absolutely terrorizing. I mean, honestly, just looking at him is terrorizing to me because he just ain't my cup of tea. So he introduced this freak off lifestyle to her. And remember, he would hold these videos over her head. So that type of emotional extortion. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are hypothetically on the jury in this case, what I would do is I will walk you through some of the situations that would be palatable, because in a case like this, you have to get permission from the judge to even go into some of the gruesome details, because you have to have trigger warnings, as we saw in a lawsuit. And I saw people asking about trigger warnings on lawsuits. I said that was my first time seeing them. Now, I have tried cases where before we started to voir dire, and that's the process with selecting a jury, we would do a trigger warning asking people about various things. If you have you can't really see medical injuries and say it's an injured baby or something like that. So you would see what people's bandwidth was. But the trigger warning on the written lawsuit was very interesting. And it probably was just to alert the court, because remember, there are paralegals and clerks and receptionists handling these documents. So, they may have personal things in their past that could trigger them. So I think her attorneys were being very respectful, because if you were to just start reading that, making notes, making stuff, annotations for the judge, and not really have a warning, say your sister or your mom went through it, it may be a lot. So I thought that was a very classy move on their behalf. And mods, if anyone is twerking in this chat, please do what y'all do. Y'all have definitely, because I see Willie, I'm not gonna give him any attention. I just can't. I don't have the bandwidth for that. Dust. So with this lawsuit, you start to really, really tell the jury about the abuse, and then you show the injuries, and you kind of walk them through how someone can isolate you with money. Think Ike and Tina Turner when she tried to escape to her mom, and Ike had brought her mom a whole house. So she was trying to escape to the very person that she thought was her safe haven, but he even brought her off. So walking the jury through the process, and you say, how do you add a dollar value to pain and suffering? Well, what is the cost of, what is the cost of you being tortured for 10 years? How much would I have to pay you to torture you, humiliate you, film you, threaten to release the films? Like, how much do I have to pay you to treat you this way? And that's when the number becomes explosive. I mean, 1 second of torture is unacceptable. 10, 20 years, unacceptable. So Cassie opening Pandora's box, giving us a bird's eye into who Diddy is behind the scenes and how he used his position of authority to basically keep people in line. And it keeps us back at the question with Kim Porter, what happened? And ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I want to tell you guys, it is my understanding Kim Porter's funeral, she had a gold casket. That's very odd to me. It is my understanding that gold caskets, because they're very expensive, they must be customized, and they don't make them ready to go because, the price, it takes 6 weeks to make a gold casket. Just think about that. Kim Porter had a gold casket. Also, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Cassie's husband ran a 50-mile marathon for domestic violence, against supporting domestic violence, trying to anti-domestic violence. He did a 50-mile marathon. So the conversations that were happening in that household had to be very interesting. And since Cassie was married and had her child, Diddy would constantly kind of taunt them, post pictures, be disrespectful. So in my opinion, he wanted to tussle, and Cassie said the pen is mightier than the sword, and she sued that ass. Like literally, y'all, settlements don't happen in 24 hours, not that size. I'm gonna be honest. The egos of that level of attorneys on both sides, the egos alone would take 24 hours for them to walk in the door. So Diddy sold his soul, exploited and defiled Cassie and probably everyone around him. And what's so deplorable is he has daughters. Like, I don't understand how a man could behave this way when you have daughters. That makes them even more degenerate to me. His daughters are young ladies. Like, they have to see this shit. They have to see their friends talking about it. He has daughters. They're, I think, dating age. What are they, like 18, 16, 17? They're at the point where I'm sure they're like dating high school or something, prom. And this is what they have to have swirling around them because their dad is degenerate. And didn't he just have another baby? Oh yeah, he had the brand new baby. Now let's imagine all the baby mamas throw him on child support, the ones that can, because one is gone. R.I.P. Kim Porter. The Ciroc money has dried up. The exotical taxes are coming due, and the money's dwindling. And don't forget, he allegedly tried to give back some masters. So watch, he may try to spin the block. So right now, the question is, is young Miami gonna stand beside him? Because girl, you looking real slow right now. Y'all city girls, y'all were frauds. Y'all were never really city girls. I'm not saying I promote the life, but I'm just saying y'all were never really city girls. Because JT is dating a girl, Leslie, aka or used to be Uzi, and young Miami over there just down bad. Honey child, she must be in her little feelings because she blocked me on what was it? Twitter. Elon Musk. We ain't calling it X. Twitter. She sure did because she ain't like my truth tea, honey. Because y'all know I served a straight no chaser. She got in her feelings tight. I think I only got 2 tweets in. Ooh, sensitive, sensitive sis. So young Miami is dating Diddy. Diddy is having full-time freak offs that don't involve young Miami. Diddy is giving Saucy Santana the eye. Meanwhile, we want to know why Kim Porter was in a gold casket. So the question becomes, will the feds proceed with criminal indictment? Will there be civil indictments? Because there are civil infractions with not properly paying out on publications, on royalties, all of that. That's theft. If you're taking people's music and putting your name on it, that's theft of intellectual property, sir. You can't do that. So now, he's getting roasted by, of all people, 50 Cent. I ain't never been worth a dollar, but 50 Cent. Yeah, so P. Diddy over there with the Golden Shower University for Young Miami, we need to find out if this is a coerced situation. I mean, but the thing is, Young Miami has probably foreclosed herself from potential litigation because she posted on social media that it was voluntarily. But we don't know if that was coerced either. We don't know how deep the rabbit hole goes. But we know Diddy has a few $100 million. He got attorneys on retainers, lawsuits brewing, royalties drying up, getting drugged and dragged and roasted, and people calling for federal charges. Not just here in the United States, but across the globe. I saw some of the UK publications, the UK tea spillers. So this has become an issue of international interest. And I'm curious if the government over in the UAE, shout out to Dubai, will look at criminal prosecution for what appeared to be physical abuse in Dubai, or at least Cassie had very, very fresh injuries in Dubai with a bust lip and a bust head. Oh, someone said urine university. Oh my goodness. Oh no. Oh no. He giving out free scholarships. Get away from me with this. So now he's down in Miami being pathetic. But that's where y'all Diddy lives in California. I thought his permanent residence was California. So he might be down there frolicking with young Miami. And this is my question. Is he forcing her to be the beard? Like, you need to, stand beside me. Here's some money. Here's the phantom you could go cry in. But I need you to, be my beard. Now come on to the university, the U University. Cassie has got her coins and escaped the urine university. The abuse, the torture, all of that. Now Cassie, I'm sure, will need a lifetime of therapy, for real, for real. And anyone else that's endured the abuse. Jaguar Wright has always been very vocal about who these people are. What she call him, honeycombs. She's always been very vocal. about P. Diddy honeycombs, or yeah, I think she called them honeycombs. So Storm has always spilled his tea. It's been consistent. These are no longer rumors. This is a lawsuit. And Diddy, I'm just gonna say you're guilty. You paid the 24 hours. Listen, when you tell your client that they have to pay a check in that quick, in that magnitude, please understand Diddy's attorney came to his house like, hey, where are you? Okay, I'm on the way. That's not a call you have over the phone with your client. Because first you need to retrieve, honestly, before you give a client some news like this, you need to say, you got to get his phone and his tablet and move all alcohol and all baseball bats. I know that sounds crazy, but people lose it. And usually they want to get on social media and rah, F this, I can't believe it, and this and that. Like, no, this is what's happening. And for your client to convince you to pay 100 million overnight, allegedly 100 million, I feel like the criminal defense attorney that he hired said, we have bigger fish to fry. These are federal charges enumerated in a 35-page complaint. The PTSD is going to be for a lifetime. And I wonder if there will be some type of federal injunction, if federal charges, for him to turn over all of these tapes for all of the women he could possibly have on film, for all the women that he could possibly have on film, that he's holding this over their head. Like, if the multitude of lawsuits come out, I think it would be a fair request for the attorneys to say that he has to turn over those films. Yes, someone, Caramel said Cassie had memory loss. And when I saw that in the complaint, I was curious how they would handle that on the witness stand, because some types of trauma are so bad psychologically that your brain almost like creates masks to blank out all the negative experiences with trauma. So sometimes when people were abused as children or something, they may have flashes of memory, but they'll have masses where they can't. So it's very complex. This is super complex, and it can literally have a flash at any time, any trigger. So this becomes, how deep is the rabbit hole goes? Will there be some type of federal order for him to turn over every single tape that he has of every single woman, not just Cassie? Because if he still has the tapes, he still has power and control. He still has the ability to intimate or suggest or say he's going to show other people. He needs to be totally disempowered. So there needs to be some type of injunctive order for him to release the tapes, dispose of the tapes of all the women that he has on film. And Diddy's attorney, guys, not only is a criminal defense attorney, but I saw he's represented the mafia. So why is Diddy hiring criminal attorneys? I can tell you it's not for a 24-hour settlement. I can tell you that. This man has bigger fish to fry. Mr. Benjamin Brofman, very, very distinguished attorney, very respected. So we will be on the coin watch for Cassie's case. Now, with a settlement, you usually dismiss the lawsuit. There's a dismissal. There isn't a satisfaction of judgment. You file a satisfaction of judgment after a jury trial. But if there's a settlement, you do a dismissal, and they would do likely a dismissal with prejudice. And when it's a dismissal with prejudice, that means this matter cannot be relitigated. Now, what's interesting about this lawsuit is there is a claim, a loss of consortium claim, that Alex Fine, the husband, might be able to have, depending on the laws in New York. If the loss of consortium claim, it may have to be attached. But if it could be a separate claim, loss of consortium is like, you made me lose a pertinent part of my spouse, access to my spouse as a whole person. And I think Alex Fine, who is very fine, might I say, I think he won't smoke with Diddy. Because he's the one that spilled Diddy tea and told and said he was gay. He was zesty, fruity. He was a one of those throw it in the circle boys. But that's the industry. Please find one straight man in the industry, and I'll listen. I'll give you my 401k. So Diddy with his little nasty freak offs maybe leading to a RICO charge if these freak offs were against the will of all parties. Because the people he filmed, we don't know if the male gigolos were, consumed substances willingly. Yeah, the surviving Diddy is going to be insane. The surviving Diddy is going to be insane. I think it's going to be a lot of survivings. It's going to be a lot of survivings. I think this is going to open the door to a lot of women kind of coming forward about the abuse that happens in the industry. Like everyone wants to be in the industry, but no one realizes like it's very toxic, very demonic. And these men with power but no power are the worst. And I say with power but no power because Diddy is a puppet in the industry. Like he's wealthy within the urban music sector, but he's not at the true level of executive. And Diddy, you can get your panties in a twist, but you're not a Jimmy Iovine. You're just not. So, what they say is levels to it. Even Jay-Z, they are not anywhere near the top. The top is the corporations. The people, these people aren't it. It's the people who own the masters, not stole the masters. So Diddy is just a pookie on the loose. He's a billionaire. Well, no, Diddy was a billionaire yesterday because he was only worth 1 point. No, I think he was a clean 1 billion. So now he's down to 900 million. Yeah, he's just a puppet. Diddy's a puppet of the cabal. All of these people, all of them play their role. They are all on their script. But Diddy thought that he could go against, I guess, one of the powers that be. I predicted it. I said Diddy's suing Diego. He got too big for his britches. And I think Diego's a collegial company. I think he should have negotiated. But Diddy threatened Diego, the owners of Ciroc, saying, I'm going to go public because he thinks the whole public is going to back him. Diddy, we don't rock with you, you criminal felonious bandit. We look at you in dismay and disgust. You get no brownie points from the collective. We're not proud of you. You've stolen from the vast majority of Black artists from New York, allegedly, as I roll my eyes and say that. Yeah, Diddy introduced Cassie to Alex, the trainer. Absolutely. So with this, the question is, will there be RICO charges and federal criminal charges plus a class action by way of Danity Kane making the band? And some of the OGs in the game, Mary J. Blige, Busta Rhymes, Mace, all these people who've never received proper compensation. Because Diddy is cutting checks and he's cutting big checks. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, that's all I have. That's all I have. Y'all, please weigh in. Tell me what y'all think. Thank you, Miss Missy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So Diddy is definitely on a watch. We are on the lookout for more lawsuits to come. And remember, guys, if there is any type of federal investigation, the feds move in stealth. They move in stealth. So they will not be making announcements. They will just collect their tea over the years. They'll talk to various people. And honey, I'm sure Cassie, she'll be ready to sing like a canary unless they, put some type of, well, no, you can't even write in the contract. You can't talk to the feds because you have a legal obligation to answer law enforcement. So they can't contract around that. So it's Danity Kane making the band and Kim Porter's estate that we are on the lookout for. And also remember, he's spending money, bleeding money, fighting Diego, the liquor company that owns Ciroc. Diego, and guys, just to tell you how big Diego is, that's why I thought it was hilarious when he sued them. Diego owns 200 spirit companies. Every beverage If you drink alcohol, every beverage that you drink is probably owned by Diego. Al B. Sure, he's a flip flop. He always says he's ready to talk. He goes in and out. He's scary. Al B. Sure, you need to get like Cassie and put it on a lawsuit because I'm tired of you doing this little tango. So literally, we are on the watch for Diddy, the billionaire yesterday, not today. How many lawsuits are coming down the pipes? And will there be RICO charges, fraud charges, sex trafficking, international? Will Hawaii, where he tucked away Cassie for that vacation after the abuse, file some type of second or third degree domestic violence charges? Will there be so many more lawsuits to come? We will see. Fingers crossed. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this has been Kourt Chronicles. I love y'all so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. I miss y'all a ton. I miss y'all a ton. Please, please, as we say goodnight, let me know where you're checking in from. What time is it? It's 9:10 on the West Coast, and it's a little bit chilly. It's a little bit chilly. And make sure y'all hit the thumbs up button on the way out. I love you guys so much. I'm sending so many good vibes. Good night, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I love you.